So, for those who don't know, sourcing is the act of finding entrepreneurs to consider investing in. It can come via inbound, as in the entrepreneur reaching out to the venture capitalist due to that person's reputation, network, or content that he or she has published on the internet. Or it can come via outbound, as in the venture capitalist reaching out to the entrepreneur to meet. In this video, I'll describe the 3 keys to effective sourcing, which are being curious, constantly networking, and producing content. Let's get started. Real quick before I jump in, if you find yourself enjoying this video, please like and subscribe to help out my channel and to get notified when new videos are posted. Also, all the information on this video is an abridged version of my podcast episode, which you can find via the links below, and via my Substack post, my blog post. If you prefer to read rather than listen, you can check that out there as well. But anyway, let's jump into this video. So the first key to effective sourcing is curiosity. Curiosity is perhaps the most important trait of a successful venture capitalist. Hopefully you get that jolt of inspiration when you hear about a new technology, a new business model, or a counterposition company disrupting incumbents. That jolt then takes the investor down a winding road of reading anything or talking to anyone he or she possibly can to accumulate proficient or even expert knowledge in that domain. Being curious is also vital for outreach. For example, Daniel Levine, a partner at the renowned VC firm Excel, with some exceptional investments you can see here, reached out to the Scale AI founders, who were only 19 and 21 years old at the time, to set up a meeting with them. That only happened because he was curious to learn more about what they were building and who they were as founders. A less curious investor would have had the mindset that, oh, I'm a partner at Excel. Every founder will email me if they want to meet. My inbound is too good to worry about outbound. Why bother? Daniel Levine, however, knew that great founders are everywhere, and sometimes you have to find them yourself. So his curiosity to meet exceptional founders and interesting companies led to Excel leading Scale AI's seed round, eventually accumulating probably around $1.5 billion in value in Scale AI shares today, as the company is now priced at about $7.3 billion. A pretty good cold email. So this is vital if you're an early stage investor, because it's all about getting to founders before someone else does. However you can find those exceptional people, whether they found you or whether you reach out to them, in the Daniel Levine case, it's vital to get into that company before anyone else. And that curiosity and hustle to meet with those founders, to want to learn, will get you in front of them. So to test a venture capitalist's hustle and curiosity, since it's not really something you can ask, like describe yourself, everyone will say they're curious and work hard. That's nothing. But a good question for an LP, who, for those who don't know, are the people who invest in venture capital funds to receive payout after that venture capital fund invests in startups. This can be a university endowment, a nonprofit, a non-revenue generating entity that wants to earn money somehow. So they invest in venture capitalists to earn money for them. So a good question for an LP to ask a VC is, how many meetings did they take the past year? Because as you might expect, it's a good signal if a VC is open to taking as many meetings as possible. And there are 2 reasons why this is such a good signal. So first, it shows the VC is inherently curious and just loves what they do. The best venture capitalists say that meeting with founders gives them the most energy because they love to learn. And the founders they're meeting with are likely domain experts, so they're the best people to ask questions and to learn from. Also, if you're meeting with the right ones, they're great people to generate 100x returns for you and generate billions of dollars for you. So there's 2 benefits. The second key point is that it shows that the venture capitalist has hustle. They know that missing a meeting with a founder means missing out on a potential 100x outcome. And sometimes a pitch deck and a cold email from a founder isn't enough to say yes or no at the early stage. You have to meet the founder and understand who this person is. After all, as readers or listeners of the podcast or Substack know, Mitch Lasky, a former partner at Benchmark Capital, had no intention of investing in Riot Games, the game studio behind League of Legends, when they sent him the cold email. He took the meeting, though, to do his friend a favor, who knew the founders. 15 minutes into the meeting, he committed to leading Riot's Series A round with just a complete 180 flip of completely disinterested to unbelievably interested 15 minutes into an actual meeting. Had he been lazy and not taken that meeting and just gone off, what he initially thought about the founders and the team and the product, he would have missed out on a 25x investment with a 184% IRR for Benchmark. Pretty good meeting to take. And the best VCs take as many meetings as they can for this reason. Not only do you find potential diamonds in the rough that you didn't know were so great until you met with the founders, it's also a sourcing flywheel. If you meet with 300 founders in a year, roughly one a day, and you had a good meeting with that founder, whether you invested or not, you and the founder got along well, those founders know other potential founders and will refer your firm to them. So those 300 founders could refer 2 or 3 of their friends to your firm, and now you have 600 to 900 warm referrals coming into you via inbound from someone you trust because you already met with that person who's referring them. Frankly, it's one of the best ways and easiest ways to source future deals. So it's just vital to be curious, to want to learn and explore as often as you possibly can to source the best deals. And whether you go to them by trying to find experts in an industry you're interested in and reaching out to them directly, like Daniel Levine, or they come to you, like Mitch Lasky and Riot Games, and you're just fully engaged in learning everything you can about this founder and this company in the short time together. Regardless of how it comes, being curiosity is essential to being good at sourcing as a venture capitalist, especially at the early stage. The second major key to effective sourcing for a venture capitalist is to be constantly networking. This is important for a few reasons. So first, you can move quickly on funding an exceptional entrepreneur if you've already built that relationship before they're raising their round. Again, in the Benchmark essay, an episode, for those who have read or listened, we talked about why Benchmark invested in Uber. And we mentioned how Travis Kalanick pitched the Benchmark team, and then less than 15 minutes later, after his pitch, he had a term sheet from Benchmark to want to invest in the company. That's how fast you have to be to fund exceptional companies like Uber. And it only happened because Bill Gurley had already built a relationship with Travis Kalanick, the founder, before they even raised their seed round. So Uber raised their Series A in, I think, 2011. Gurley and Kalanick first met in 2009 before Kalanick really committed to being CEO of this company. So he already had a relationship with him very early on at the company, essentially at its inception. Therefore, when it was time to raise the Series A round, Gurley already knew he wanted to fund Kalanick. He already knew about the business. He already knew about the team at Uber. They just had to agree on the terms, which were not that hard to agree with. And similarly, and we'll talk about this more in the future video essay episode about winning the deal, but Kalanick was already leaning towards working with Benchmark before pitching them because he already had a strong relationship with Gurley. So it's a two-way street of relationship building that is critical for a VC to move quickly on the best deals. So that's the first reason the VC needs to be constantly networking. Second reason is you build an extensive Rolodex of exceptional builders and VPs of sales or marketing or what have you to introduce to founders you've backed to help them build a super team. So regular listeners know that companies can de-risk themselves of failure if they're able to hire exceptional teams, because exceptional teams help founders move quickly to find product market fit, or if this product isn't succeeding, to help facilitate a successful pivot. Regardless of the situation, exceptional teams move fast. Therefore, a VC can be value additive by introducing entrepreneurs to top engineers or top sales executives. Selfishly, it also de-risks the venture capitalist investment since it gives founders an all-star supporting cast to work with, and typically best teams figure out tough issues, like building a company. But what does this have to do with sourcing? Well, a savvy founder will recognize how valuable these Rolodexes are that certain venture capitalists have, and will want to work with the most connected partners to introduce them to top talent. So the best VCs are always looking to meet with experts in the field, and whether they plan to work with them in the future or not. I mean, perhaps the greatest venture capitalist of all time, John Doerr, attributes a lot of his success to just his willingness to network. He's emphasized it over and over again in various talks he's given. He loved to network, and he constantly told everyone to network as much as they can. This is the best way to meet interesting people. And so a good VC will constantly flex their Rolodex to entrepreneurs. And LPs, the people who invest in venture capitalists, will be very attracted to that network as well, because you never know when you'll find that next great founder, that next great executive to bring into your company. The last reason constantly networking is so important is you build a scouting network of exceptional entrepreneurs who can refer their network to you. So the most accretive benefit of constantly networking is becoming a favorable name in the founder network. The founder network is the most valuable network for a venture capitalist to infiltrate, obviously. It's where the most and the best referrals come from, and it's where all the returns come from. And it's just an evergreen crop producing more and more talent as it grows. There's always more founders every year. New companies being started every year as technology progresses. So a unique way many venture capitalists find their way into the next great companies, besides just cold calling and simple networking, is by meeting with entrepreneurs they previously backed who are now successfully scaling a company. There are many stories about the 12th employee at Google or the 15th employee at Stripe or one of the first employees at Airbnb starting a successful company. It's an invaluable experience for a young person to work at a company from seed to scale, and it's the reason why so many investors love to back these people. They get to see how every aspect of running a company works. Bill Gurley, who we mentioned earlier, former partner at Benchmark, once told a story about how a partner at Benchmark in the 90s, when they first started, Bruce Dunleavy, had previously invested in a software company, and he just went down the organizational chart, meaning anybody interesting at that company he could. Every engineer, every sales executive, whoever it was. And one day, one of the engineers from the company came to him and said, I'm working on this marketplace thing called eBay. And so it's crazy that Benchmark's intro to eBay happened because Bruce Dunleavy, the partner at Benchmark at the time, took the time to meet all the interesting people within the company he had invested in. I mean, that's just the easiest way to tap into a network you're already viewed favorably in. If you invest in the company, they probably like you, if you're a good person at least. And if you invest in the right company, chances are there will be several future businesses spun out of that initial one because there are probably exceptional people working there. And what's even crazier about this story is that Benchmark was the only firm to give eBay a term sheet. So it's likely the Benchmark team would have never heard of eBay, would have never heard of Piero Mignard, the founder, had they not connected themselves with employees within the company they invested in. And they probably would have missed out on their $5+ billion returns that they received from their eBay investment, putting Benchmark on the map. So really important time for Bruce Dunleavy to go introduce himself to employees at this certain software company. So that's constantly networking. The last key to effective sourcing for a venture capitalist is to produce content as a beacon to attract founders. And just general PSA, if you don't write, you should start, because it's just a great way to fine tune and cement ideas in your head. But writing is a constant process of generating an idea and going deeper and deeper through extensive research on that idea until it's a concise piece of content that any interested reader can understand. It's a great learning mechanism. And it started as a fringe hobby for exceptional venture capitalists like Paul Graham and Bill Gurley. But today, producing content has become basically a necessity for many venture capitalists because, as I said, it acts as a beacon to find entrepreneurs building in that domain you're writing about. So by writing and publishing content, a good VC is learning about whatever field they're looking to invest in and can therefore act fast on investing in companies that appear within that person's thesis. It's basically practice, but it's practice with scouts attending. And in this metaphor, the scouts are current and future entrepreneurs. And by publishing content, the venture capitalist tells the world two things. Tells the world first that I know about this industry since I've researched it extensively, enough to write about it. And it also tells the world that I will likely fund your company if you align with what I'm writing. It's a very powerful sourcing mechanism that generates relevant inbound from entrepreneurs. And of course, it's great to network and to hustle to find great entrepreneurs, go to all the events, go to the university campuses, speak at certain classes, whatever. Great VCs should certainly do that. But this is what benchmark partner Sarah Tavel calls the ground game, because that's a time constraint strategy. That requires you to physically go somewhere and physically speak to someone. What's time unconstrained, if you will, is publishing content online for anyone, anywhere around the world to read at whatever hour of the day. Sarah Tavel calls this the air game. And it's an incredibly effective inbound tactic that can directly contribute to billions of dollars of returns for an essay that maybe takes 100 hours to write, maybe even just takes a few hours to write. And to prove this point, A16Z partner Jeff Jordan once said, ironically, the shortest blog post he ever wrote generated hundreds of millions of dollars in returns for A16Z, as that blog post was read by Apurva Mehta, the founder of Instacart, who then came to the A16Z offices for a meeting, leading to A16Z to invest in the Series B round for Instacart. Crazy. And so it's such a key tool for venture capitalists to utilize constantly. It's just a make money while you sleep tactic that can pay very outsized dividends, hundreds of millions of dollars, relative to how long you work on it. Again, in Jeff Jordan's case, maybe an hour, the shortest blog he ever wrote. So producing content clearly can be very value accretive for venture capitalists. So to conclude, again, these traits of curiosity, networking, and producing content will position a venture capitalist as well as possible to meet with exceptional entrepreneurs. Sure, previous success, either starting a company or investing in startups, is a major lever in how much entrepreneurs will want to work with you and how connected you are in the industry and typically how successful you're projected to be. But I imagine the hardest workers in these three categories do get rewarded by seeing many top companies at their infancy. So I do think hard work in these three areas does eventually pay off. The real challenge is our topic for the next video, which will be on picking those great companies that you see. Picking 10 out of the 300 you meet within a year. So stay tuned for that coming soon, likely next week. So again, if you like this video, subscribe to see future videos about similar content. Check the backlog of videos if you want to see videos such as why Sequoia invests in Airbnb, why Benchmark invests in Uber, why Kleiner Perkins invests in Amazon, so on and so forth. Again, if you want to learn more about what I haven't talked about in this video, I probably only got half to a third of what I actually wrote about and said on the podcast. You can check out the podcast, you can check out the Substack for a little more detailed information. So thanks again for watching. Like the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe if you want to see more, and talk to you all later.